my dad chained me to the radiator my whole life. I just found out he was protecting you from me. The sound of my childhood wasn't a lullaby. It was the cold, metallic snick of a lock turning, followed by the soft rattle of a chain settling against the floorboards. Every night, for as long as I can remember, my father, Milo, has secured a padded shackle around my left ankle. The chain is bolted to the old cast iron radiator beneath my window. The length is just enough for me to get to my bed, my desk, and the small bookshelf in the corner. The bathroom is a no-go. For that, I have to call for him, a humiliation that has only sharpened with age. For years, I believed his story. He called it my night brace. He said it was for my own safety, a special device to keep the night crawlers from pulling me out of my bed and into the dark. My young mind pictured spindly, shadowy things with too many joints, and I was grateful for the cold weight on my leg. But you can't stay a child forever. The world bleeds in. The illusion shattered when I was 15. My best friend, Alina, was breathlessly planning her summer. She was going to spend 2 weeks with her cousins, camping near a lake. There would be bonfires, ghost stories, and sleeping under the stars. You have to come for a weekend, Zora. My aunt said it's fine. We can get you a tent. It'll be amazing, she'd said, her eyes shining with the kind of freedom I only saw in movies. I can't, I'd mumbled, picking at a loose thread on my jeans. My dad, he's really strict about me being home at night. Alina's face scrunched in confusion. Strict how? It's not like you're grounded. Just tell him you're with me. It's not about being grounded, it's a health thing. I have to wear this special brace at night, for my circulation. The lie felt like ash in my mouth. She stared at me, her head tilted. A brace? Like an ankle support? Why would that stop you from camping? In that moment, seeing the simple, uncomprehending logic on her face, the whole flimsy architecture of my life collapsed. My night brace wasn't for circulation. It was a shackle. And my father wasn't protecting me from monsters. He was my jailer. I tried to live with it. I swear I did. I have a nice room, a comfortable bed, all the books I could ever want. Milo isn't a monster in the daylight. He makes me breakfast, helps with my homework, and tells the worst dad jokes you've ever heard. He loves me. I know he does. But his love felt like a cage, and I was getting too big for it. The pressure built and built until my 17th birthday, 2 days ago. Alina had insisted on throwing me a party, a proper one. Our friends were all coming. The theme was cheesy horror movies, and the night was supposed to end with a massive sleepover at her place. An all-nighter of pizza, popcorn, and whispered secrets. A rite of passage. When she cornered me with the invitation, her eyes were pleading. Please, Zora, just this once. It's your birthday. You can't say no to your own birthday. I'm sorry, Alina, I can't, I said, the words feeling like a betrayal. Just ask him what's the worst that can happen. He says no? At least you'll have tried. For me? The battle was lost before it began. I nodded, a sick feeling coiling in my stomach. Okay, I'll ask. That night, my heart was a trapped bird beating against my ribs as Milo knelt to fasten the shackle. The familiar click echoed in the quiet room. Happy birthday, my Zora, he whispered, kissing my forehead. He started to stand to leave me to another night of chained sleep. This was it. Dad? He paused at the door, his silhouette framed by the hallway light. Yeah, sweetie, can we talk for a second? His shoulders slumped. He knew. He walked back and sat on the edge of my bed, his face a mask of weary concern. What is it? Is it that boy from your chemistry class again? No. It's Alina is having a sleepover for my birthday. Tomorrow night. I want to go. Milo stared at his hands, his knuckles white. Zora, you know the rules. I'm sorry. Maybe when you're older you'll see why. The dam broke. Hot tears streamed down my face. See why? Why do I have to be chained to a radiator every night? I'm 17, Dad. I want to have one normal night with my friends. I want to feel free. I can't breathe like this anymore. He looked up, and the grief in his eyes was so profound, it stole my breath. All right, he said, his voice barely a whisper. You're old enough. You deserve the truth." He took a shaky breath. "This is going to sound insane. I need you to just listen. Remember when you were little and I told you the brace was to keep the monsters away?" I nodded, my throat tight. It was half a lie. There's no bogeyman waiting in the closet. The monster... He took my hand, his palm clammy and cold. "Zora, I'm so sorry. The monster is you." I just stared at him. "When you were a baby, not even a year old, your mother and you were in a car accident. She didn't make it." His voice cracked, a sound I hadn't heard since I was a small child asking why mommy wasn't coming home. "You were in the ICU. The doctor said you wouldn't survive the night. If you did, you'd never be the same. I was broken. I'm not a praying man, Zora, you know that. But that night, in that sterile, hopeless room, I prayed. I begged. I screamed at the ceiling, at God, at anything that might be listening, offering anything and everything if it would just let me keep you." He squeezed my hand, tears tracking through the lines on his face. Something answered. I don't know what it was. It wasn't an angel. It was a bargain. It offered your life, whole and perfect, for a price. A vessel, a place to stay. It lives inside you, Zora. It sleeps during the day, but it wakes under the full moon. It's drawn to it. It wants to go out into the night. He let out a dry, ragged sob. "The first time it happened, you were 5. I woke up because the front door was open. I found you 3 blocks away, standing in the middle of the road, just staring up at the moon. Your little feet were cut and bleeding. You didn't remember a thing. So I started locking your door. But one night, it broke the lock. It's strong. The chain was the only thing I could think of. I don't know what it is or what it wants, but I know it isn't you. And I have spent every night since then making sure it can never take you out into the dark again. I know it's crazy, but it's the truth." I pulled my hand away. I looked at my father, this man who I loved, and all I saw was a shattered person, clinging to a delusion born from grief and trauma. He wasn't a jailer. He was sick. And in that moment, I knew I couldn't live in his madness any longer. The next day, while he was at work, I put my plan into action. I knew where he kept the key, tucked in an old cigar box at the back of his closet, a place he thought I'd never look. My hands shook as I palmed the small piece of metal. The man at the hardware store didn't even blink. He took the key, clamped it into his machine, and 5 minutes later handed me a warm, freshly cut duplicate. It felt heavy in my pocket, like a stone and a feather all at once. My ticket to freedom. That night, when he locked the shackle, I had to force myself to meet his eyes. "I love you, Zora. More than anything. I love you too, Dad. Good night." The lie burned my tongue. I waited, listening to the house settle. The groan of the pipes, the hum of the refrigerator. I heard his bedroom door click, shut down the hall. I counted to 500, then 1,000. Finally, I pulled the key from under my pillow. It slid into the lock. It turned. With a soft thunk, the shackle fell open. I was free. My whole body trembled with a mixture of terror and exhilaration. I slipped out of bed, my bare feet silent on the wood floor. Each step was a thunderclap in my own ears. I held my breath as I passed his door, then crept down the stairs and to the back door. The deadbolt turned with a painful slowness. The handle was cold under my hand. I pulled the door open a crack, and the night air rushed in, cool and smelling of damp earth and freedom. And there it was, the moon, full and impossibly bright, a perfect silver disk hanging in an ocean of stars. I'd never seen it like this, unfiltered by glass and screens. It was beautiful. It was calling to me. I took a step out onto the porch. "Zora? What are you doing?" Milo's voice ripped through the silence. My blood ran cold. He stood at the top of the stairs, his face pale and horrified in the moonlight spilling through the doorway. "Zora, no. Please, come back inside. Please." Tears were streaming down my face now, hot and angry. "No, Dad, I won't live like this. You're sick. You need help. I have a life, and I'm going to live it." I took another step back, fully into the backyard, lifting my face to the sky. The moonlight felt like a physical touch on my skin, a strange, prickling hum that started at the base of my skull and spread through every nerve. The world tilted, the edges of my vision going soft and dark. "D-Dad?" I slurred, my tongue suddenly thick and clumsy. "What's happening?" His face was the last thing I saw, a portrait of pure terror as he rushed toward me. Then, nothing, and then, something, not a blackout. A shift. I was still there, but I wasn't driving anymore. I was a passenger behind my own eyes, watching my arms and legs move with a purpose that wasn't mine. I watched myself turn away from my father's desperate cries. I felt my feet carry me across the wet grass, through the back gate, and out into the silent, sleeping streets. My own mind screamed, but no sound came out. There were flashes, like broken frames of a film. The scent of pine needles in decay. The cold, rough bark of a tree against my palms. A pale, marble face streaked with moss. I came to with a gasp, like I'd been held underwater. My eyes focused on a weeping angel, its stone face carved into an expression of eternal sorrow. I was on my knees. The air was cold, the ground damp. I was in the old cemetery on the edge of town. My clothes were torn, my fingernails packed with dark, rich soil. I was at the foot of a grave. Elara Vance, beloved wife and mother. My mother's grave. The walk home was a nightmare of confusion and a deep, soul-shaking dread. When I finally stumbled through the back door, the house was deathly quiet. I found him in the kitchen. He hadn't been shackled. He'd barricaded himself inside the pantry. A heavy armchair was wedged under the knob. When I moved it, he practically fell out, his face haggard. There were deep, bloody scratches on his forearms, self-inflicted and desperate. He didn't yell. He just looked at me, and in his eyes I saw the truth I had refused to see. "It comes back sometimes," he whispered, his voice raw. "After it's been out, I have to. Make sure I'm not in the way. Something monstrous lives inside of me. My father isn't crazy. He was never my jailer. He has been my guardian, in the truest, most terrible sense of the word. So now, every night, when he kneels with the shackle, I offer my ankle willingly. I hold my breath and listen for the solid, reassuring click of the lock. Because he isn't just locking me in, he's locking it in too.